How's it going, guys? Coach Paul here of Phase 1 Sports Hawaii. I just wanted to get in and do a Chalk Talk video. This is where we have a discussion about different topics that involves sports and athletes and think how we can improve. And it's just everything that deals with my experience and just my personal opinion. So I don't expect everybody to agree, but we can at least agree to disagree. All right. So first, I want to say, on the positive note, make sure we smile at others. Make sure we are asking each other how we are doing, because even those who you see smiling every day, they have problems too, and there's a lot going on behind that smile that we may not know about, and it's our duty to ask each other how everything's going. So, if you like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel so you can get future videos as well. So, topic for today. I wanted to discuss, especially for football, high school football athletes. Actually, football athletes in general, in the off season, is keeping the main thing the main thing. All right. Now, what am I mean by that? So I've done videos in the past where discussion videos where we talk about, playing more than one tackle football season in a year. Now, and it's mainly for safety reasons. And you can do your research. You don't have to take my opinion for this. I think even for NFL athletes, you see it over and over again where concussions are a big deal, and they get paid the big money, not just because who they are and they get overpaid, and it's because they are what we call are today gladiators of the past, where they put their bodies out there and their brains, and in the concussion world where they sometimes can't function later in life when they get older. Some of them can't remember their ABCs, they can't count, their body is just aching in pain every day. And, we got to look at that in itself and do your research. So, youth football athletes, I always say, you should only play one tackle football season a year. And what do I mean by that? You have your normal football season in the fall, tackle football season in the fall. They have a little break, and then, you know, parents and coaches are having the same athletes that play in the fall bounce back and say play in the spring session and within that same year. Now, again, it's solely because of the injury and the concussion rates, that involves in football, where a few things, you don't want them to get injured and be a lifetime injury, that affects them forever. Number two, you don't want them to have a concussion where later in life, you might not even see it in the short run where, you see anything happening, but in the long run, it could affect things, down the line. So that's the biggest thing. So if you look at, I always talk about this. Everything's in progression with athletes, and I'm not knocking any coach or opinions that are out there, but again, it's just my personal opinion, and then you go back and do your research based on what we're talking about today, and then you decide for your own what's best for your athlete. So, you have coaches out there that coach these youth tackle football teams, and they say things like, in order to get better, you have to keep playing the game. To me, that's such a false statement, especially when you have, 7-on-7 football, you have flag football for youth, you have, skills trainings out there available to the kids. Even if you're out there just, training your child on your own. It's safer. That's your play and play and play to get better in itself versus playing another tackle season to risk the fact of getting a concussion or an injury that could set them up for a lifetime. So, even in playing something so basic as flag football, yes, you're not going to get the concussions or the injuries, so it's safe for them to play 3-4 seasons in a year. But what we want to also make sure is that they're getting the proper movements done, they're getting the proper footwork done, so that it translates to them progressing in each season when they play flag football or 7-on-7 or something of that nature. So, I mean, this goes for any sport. And I talk about this all the time is in regards to my profession as a sports performance trainer for many years. You know, it's been over 2 decades now. And I see the same thing happening over and over and over again. We have a lot of athletes are so talented. You know, like you see them on the football field, the soccer field, volleyball, basketball, baseball fields, and you know, you see the talent, but you watch how they move. My mindset as a trainer in my profession, I'm already looking at these athletes of how much more we can make them better than they already are. So I always say the solid foundation of something like our speed, agility, quickness training, or now our game speed training is something so essential for every athlete, especially at the younger ages. Because what happens is I see a lot of the middle school or intermediate school ages where they haven't done any of those basic foundational trainings or got that work. And now, you know, it's they're just all over the place. You know, we just did a training last weekend, and a bunch of middle schoolers who have never, I can tell, never had this type of training. There's about 15 of them. And, you know, there's not one out of the 15 who I saw move in one drill the way I would expect. And it's because they never had that foundation, you know, when they were younger. So catching them at a young age, you know, 6, 7 years old, and keeping them consistent throughout the year with some type of training like this, where they're getting the good foundation to build upon to become the best athlete they can be. So being that said, in the off season, you know, that's what I mean by keeping the main thing the main thing. Instead of having the mindset of play and play and play, that's not what's going to get you better. All right, it's not going to get you running faster. It's not going to get your footwork better. It's not going to get your strength up. It's not going to get you the things that you need to progress as you age. So the sad thing, you know, a lot of folks expect that I don't like 7-on-7 football. And I have to, you know, explain myself to say it's not that I don't like 7-on-7 football. I think 7-on-7 is good. Is it emulating real tackle football? In my opinion, not by any means. But it's good for reps. You know, as long as we don't pick up the bad habits that you get from 7-on-7 football, like quarterbacks don't get rushed. Some leagues now do have a rush, but quarterbacks sit back and, you know, they don't expect to get hit or have the pressure of rushing. They're just based on seconds to throw the ball. Wide receivers, they get out there and they're not going to get hit. So, you know, it's so easy to go up and make grabs on the ball. But I've seen these same players play in pads, in tackle, and they're nowhere near the athlete they are on the 7-on-7 field. So does it translate to tackle? In my opinion, no. But it's good for reps, yes. Now, the thing that I am not for, and this is anything, not just 7-on-7 football, is if anything that takes away from you getting better for your next tackle season, that's what I am against. So if you indulge in 7-on-7 in the off season of your tackle season, if it takes away in time from you getting your strength training in, your speed training in, your skill set training in, everything you need to be better as a football player in your next tackle season. For example, if you're a freshman in high school and you played your JV or you're on the varsity team, and once that season is done around November, December, if in the off season you're only focusing on 7-on-7 or 5-on-5 tournaments and travel and things of this nature, and it's taken away from you getting in the weight room, getting in your speed training, getting in more of your skill set training, you need it all. It's not a one-shot deal. You need strength, you need speed, you need skill work in the off season. So if any of it is taken away from you, which most of it I see happening, that's what I'm against. Coaches are practicing 4 to 5 times a week with these 7-on-7 or flag football teams, and they have no time to get in the weight room. They have no time to get their speed training in. They have no time to get that extra skill set training for their positions. And when they go into their real tackle seasons, back to it for their sophomore year, then they're not any better than they were before, because there's guys that are working in the weight room, getting bigger, stronger, faster, and now you're behind. All right. Do you want to just be a great 7-on-7 player or 5-on-5 tournament player, or do you want to be a great football player to get noticed by college recruits? All right. So now here's the sad thing. Last week I heard that there was I have a high school freshman athlete currently that plays football. He comes to our off-season football training, and the past month he's haven't been coming. He comes, but he comes like maybe 2 times a week, but only for the skill set training. So I was under assumption that maybe he's with his high school doing his weight training or whatever, is out there for them. And when he came in, I asked, I said, why is it that you're only to make it, 2 days a week just for the skill set? And he said, coach, I have practice with my high school. And when you use the word practice and training, it's two different things. Practice is where you practice for football games, and then training is where you get in and get bigger, stronger, faster. So I said, are you getting confused of your training and using the word practice? He goes, no, practice. I go, well, that's kind of not legal, right now for high schools. And I said, what practice is this? Is it for another sport? He said, no, it's for football. I said, I don't get it. And he further explained, he just played his JV freshman year in high school. And he said, no, our coach is having us play in a youth tackle football league in the spring. And that right there made absolutely no sense to me by any means. Instead of having your freshman athletes preparing for their sophomore year, whether if they're going to be on the JV team or the varsity team, I would want, as a head coach, to have my players get bigger, stronger, faster during this period of the off season, versus putting them in another tackle season that is definitely going to set them up for failure in the injury realm or concussion realm. And then it takes away from their real season coming up in the fall. So, I think it's a shame where things are headed, for youth sports and for athletes, where coaches and some parents just follow along with what coaches say, or parents will follow along because their child just wants to play. But I think at some point, as a parent, like me, I'm a parent. I had a football player who's now 23 years old, from youth football to high school to some college. My middle son is a freshman in high school, going to be a sophomore that plays football. I have an 8-year-old daughter. So it's like, I'm a parent as well. So me as a parent, I have to put my foot down for what's best for my child. And if safety is the biggest issue, right? So whether if it's in the weight room, whether if it's in the speed training, whether if it's what they do with their team involves practicing, and playing extra seasons when they don't have to, whether it's not mandatory. So anything not mandatory is by choice of you, the parent, and you, the athlete. So, I get it. I'm all about teamwork, but I'm also about, in the profession that I'm in, and I work with hundreds of athletes, I just understand that if that doesn't benefit my child, then they're not doing it until it's mandatory. All right? And it's not because we're not a team player. It's not because I'm just being egotistic as a dad and I just want my child to train with me. It is because I look out for what's best for my child. So if my child is not getting what they need, with their school when it's not mandatory, or with their team when it's not mandatory, then I'm going to make sure that they get the best from me. So, meaning the strength training and the speed training and the whole nine, because it's what I do. But so what I'm saying for you parents, the advice is, if a coach is asking you to have your son or daughter play in a season, another tackle season, then I think it's your duty to say, man, I just, thank you for the offer, but I would rather him or her get in the weight room, get better for you for the next season, because right now that's what's important. He's not strong enough. He's not fast enough. I need him to get at a better point. So Just a quick tip, guys. In the off season, keep the main thing the main thing. That's what that means, is getting bigger, stronger, faster. No matter what you're doing in your extracurricular activity, whether if it's 7-on-7 football, flag football, or travel teams, or whatever the case is, just make sure keeping the main thing the main thing is getting bigger, stronger, faster. And I'm not saying this to have you just train with us, because there's other people out there that can help you do the same thing. I always say it's just making sure that you have the same philosophy, or your trainer has the same philosophy as what you have for the best interests of your child. So, here in Phase One Sports, though, in the off season right now, we're still going hard. We got 2 more months. We got April and May to get it done before things get more mandatory. For athletes in high school in the summer. So we have our off-season football training every Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. We do a mixture of strength training, we do speed training, game speed training. We're implementing hill training on the weekends for their conditioning and their explosive work. We have a lot of great stuff going on. We have our skill set trainings where we have quarterback training, wide receiver skills training, defensive back skills training, O-line development training, and D-line and edge linebacker training. So we have everything you need as a whole in your off season for your football player. We call it the one-stop shop, where you drop off your child, and we're getting better each and every day. How do we know this? Because we make sure we test every 4 weeks in our football combines to make sure that we're seeing some type of progress. So with that said, guys, I just want to leave you with one verse. It's Philippians 4:13. All things through Christ can strengthen me. So keep that in mind throughout your day. Again, make sure you like and subscribe to our channel so you can get more content. Love to hear feedback again. All positive feedback, and I get it. Not everybody will agree with what I'm saying, but again, do your research, do your due diligence, and make sure that you're doing what's best for your athlete. With that said, guys, take care. God bless. Have a great day. Peace.